Welcome to another episode of Monster Men.
Arrgh. Getting better.
Yeah, it was pretty good. That was kind of demonic.
In fitting with the theme of today's show.
That is what we call a segue. So, today we are going to talk about exorcism and possession.
The one that Jack went through as a child.
The power of Christ compelled me
To get ice cream.
So the reason we decided to go with this topic is because we just saw a movie.
The Devil Inside.
Which was my favorite In Excess song.
And I kept calling it The Devil Inside Me.
Well, that's probably your favorite porno movie.
I was going to say, note to porno producers, you have a slam dunk if you're going to make a spin-off of this. But yeah, we did just see the movie, and
what did you think?
It was better than I thought it would be. But like all movies that seem to get made nowadays, they just punted the ball. 10 minutes left to go. They just were like, well, we don't know what we're going to do. So, boop.
The way they end the movie, which we won't give it away, but I thought in some ways was like an attempt at a very creative camera shot.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, that's the end of it?
Did all this stuff just happen?
Like when the Blair Witch Project ended, everybody's like, wait, that's the end of the movie? Like you sat there for like a couple of minutes waiting.
Right. But
and
that was cool the way they did it.
Yeah, then you're like, and then your mind starts racing. With this one, you're like,
well, here's the deal. It's a found footage movie, which is the hot thing to do. It's found footage. Found footage movies work where the footage seems like it could really happen. When you do a found footage movie that does this arc where it gets to a point where now it looks like some, writer in Hollywood just went crazy on Quaaludes and speed and wrote this insane ending, well then it doesn't seem so real anymore, and it takes away a lot of the punch of the movie. And I think that's what happened with this movie. Although leading all the way up to the end I thought was really good. Intense.
I have to say, overall, I enjoyed the movie. It was I like watching horror movies. So even though the ending, I thought the build-up, I thought there was a few scenes, like that first Exorcism.
Oh, God.
Was awesome. That was great graphic stuff.
Yeah.
We saw it together, and somebody had like a 7-year-old in the theater, and there's such inappropriate stuff, language and visually.
But I couldn't say anything because, 40 years ago, that was me.
Yeah.
In The Exorcist watching.
That's going to be the future Monster Man.
Exactly.
Down there. But, so like, and I enjoyed some of the things that they did with the characters, but there was also some really blatant exposition.
There were some things in there that I turned to Jack and I was like, well, that can't be. Like when she was the girl, the main character, the girl, was actually did a very good job.
And she's a babe.
Yeah, actually, she's a babe.
It was bothering me the whole time I was watching it, and I figured out who I thought she looked like. I think she looks like Jael from the Paranormal Factor Fake.
Factor Fake, yes. And Destination Truth, she does look a lot like Jael. I thought she did a really good job, and she made it believable, and they had some scary stuff. But then there was that part where she's talking. It's an Exorcist movie, so it's Catholic. I'm sorry, it's a Catholic movie. They went to Vatican City.
Well, most exorcism movies revolve around the Catholic Church.
Right. So how can you have a grandfather who was a priest? Was it the grandfather?
It was the other priest.
Yeah, the other priest, his father or his grandfather was a priest, and I'm thinking, well, how is that possible? Right?
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
That one got me. I'm like, what?
Maybe they were one of the other religions that kind of like Catholics, but isn't. I don't know.
The Pope said, come on in.
I don't know. You don't see a lot of like Protestant exorcists.
No, although I think the last exorcism.
Oh, that's true. Now the last exorcism is the one that everybody's going to compare Devil Inside to, and I like Devil Inside way more than Last Exorcism, because Last Exorcism, the ending of that movie pissed me off so bad that the good that it did before
wiped away.
Yeah, I was like, I never want to.
But see, I'm the opposite. I like the Last Exorcism more because I thought that the story leading up to the end was better.
I think you're possessed.
And I thought he gave him, as far as low budget horror, that was a virtuoso performance that he gave as the preacher.
He was good.
So, but that's a case of he wasn't a Catholic. He was some offshoot of Protestantism, doing an exorcism.
True. It's interesting because you say the found footage aspect of exorcism. In some ways, I'm like, well, that feels like a better way to go because did you see The Rite with
Anthony Hopkins? Yes.
I enjoyed that movie, but being a produced movie,
right?
There was like certain scenes where I'm like, well, that's CG, and that's sort of cliche,
right?
You can't make a demon possession movie now that's not cliche. The Exorcist, claimed that land and
completely jaded us forever.
Yeah, so anything that comes after it is either a ripoff or just way reminiscent of it.
Yeah,
but I enjoyed that though. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. But the Exorcism movie over the past few years that I like the most out of all of them is The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Such a good movie.
That one has some genuinely scary moments in it. Like, she's alone in her apartment.
Right.
If you saw the movie, you know what we're talking about.
Laura Linney, first of all, is fantastic. I think it's Tom Watkins. I might be wrong. Jack will throw up the correction later.
I do all the research after.
He was in it, and you got Academy Award-winning actors in it. It had the legal side of things. I just thought that movie, that's probably the best Exorcist.
And the exorcism scenes were really good.
Yeah.
And the girl...
Oh, creepy.
Yeah.
The way when did exorcisms involve all these dislocations? Here's something to think about, because in the last 5 years, all exorcisms are these acrobats that can dislocate their arms and shoulders. Where did that come into place? But for some reason, it went from spinning your head.
Because spinning your head looks too fake now.
Right. But now they get these people who obviously have some disease.
I tell you, the first exorcism scene in Devil Inside.
It's great.
Awesome.
It was worth it. It was worth it for that scene alone, and the mother, meeting up with the mother.
Who I saw a great thing on the internet where they compared her face to the Total Recall, no oxygen eye bulging thing. If I can find that, I'll put it over.
And if you see it, just so you know, when she starts muttering, she's not saying Connecticut. Right?
But the first,
I thought she was.
But she's from Connecticut.
Right, she is from Connecticut. And Jack lives in Connecticut, so I was worried for him.
We didn't have albino midgets like you had.
Westchester albino midgets, Sisters of St. Francis, which is now a condo or something. Tore it down.
One of the things that fascinates me about all this exorcism stuff is this sort of mythology that the Catholic Church has a secret force of exorcists, and I know there is stuff going on with that.
There are exorcisms. I mean, the church does condone exorcism when it's needed. In my family alone,
I don't condone exercise.
The power of Christ compels you to do chin-ups.
Get off that couch.
But in my family, there was somebody in my family who did work in a church, in a school in a church, and the Monsignor there had done exorcisms in the 70s. Had done, I believe, 3.
A lot of crazy stuff happened in the 70s that we can't talk about.
It was an exorcism, not a key party. I wasn't allowed to go ask him any questions because he didn't want to talk about it. And I don't blame him. Why would I want to talk to a 19-year-old metalhead about exorcisms? He probably thought he'd just encourage me to worship the devil. But I wish I had a chance to talk to him about that. But it does happen. It happens. There's been a report last year in the paper about how they're looking for more people who are trained to do the rites of exorcism in the church.
That's interesting. And one thing that we had been talking about was what about other religions? Like, remember in Love at First Bite when Van Helsing holds up the Star of David? Why don't you go marry a nice Jewish girl? What if the person possessed isn't Catholic? Does the Catholic power still work on them?
I've always wondered about that too. Like if you're a Hindi and a Catholic priest comes in, what does it do? Does it do anything? I don't know.
I don't know, but there's such power in symbols that even if there's nothing supernatural going on, just holding a cross could give you such more courage.
Right.
Or when you see a a swastika that evokes such hatred that this symbolic stuff that's going on there, maybe they're possessed, maybe they're not, but maybe if they're mentally ill, that is something that's affecting the person.
Right.
You know, the holy water could be a placebo.
The whole thing might be a placebo effect, but if it works, who cares?
Yeah.
Well, I don't care if it's real or not. If it heals you from either an actual possession or imagined, hey, that's fine by me.
Now, the King Daddy exorcism movie is obviously The Exorcist.
Right.
Which we've talked about. We both love that movie. It's considered one of the scariest movies of all time. I think we both are old enough that we didn't see it when it first came out, but saw it after all the hype.
I think I was 8.
So
I was one of those kids in the theater that shouldn't be.
Really? See, I didn't see it till later on.
Yeah.
And so I knew about the head spinning and pea soup before I ever saw the movie. So for me, I don't think it scared me as much as people who originally saw it. So I thought it was a great movie.
Well, it didn't scare me much. Well, as a kid, I was about to be an altar boy in real life, and
that's scarier than me. Oh my God!
I did it for like 4 or 5 years. You want to be a priest, so to me, it was kind of like oh wow, this is really cool. It's almost like to me as a Catholic kid growing up, a priest is kind of like Superman. You know, he's got a uniform, he's got superpowers, and here's his greatest power of all, getting rid of the devil. If you're going to watch the Great Exorcist movie, see The Exorcist 3 with George C. Scott, which to me, that thing's right over here.
I'm going to borrow that.
Much better than The Exorcist.
I saw that so long ago that I don't remember.
Basketball fans, Pat Ewing's in it. He doesn't speak, but he's in it.
I want to see it just for that. The Exorcist 2 was called The Heretic. It had Linda Blair was in it, and what's his name?
I don't remember who the guy was. I remember that movie was...
The famous actor, I can't remember.
Terrible. Frank Langella.
No. It's like... I'll look it up. It's
right down here on the screen.
Yes, it's right here. Didn't like it, but I haven't seen it in years. Then they remade, or they did The Exorcist: The Beginning.
Oh God, Dominion and
they did it twice.
Both stunk.
Yeah.
Not scary.
But then you did a little research, and the #1 movie under the term possession
is The Shining. Bar none, everybody says The Shining is the #1 movie.
Rat Rob. Which, yeah, if you think about it, there's like exorcism movies, and then there's possession movies where there was no exorcist in The Shining.
Either way, you need possession. It's just what do you do with it?
It's not
Shining
against the law.
Well, I guess he exercised himself, not froze to death. Danny!
I'm not gonna hurt you, Wendy. Give me the bat, Wendy. All work and no play does make Jack a dull boy.
Makes me crazy.
Now, Linda Blair, she was the little girl in The Exorcist. She was in The Heretic. Then, later on, she rode her fame to... what was it? She was in like a roller skating or disco movie.
She was in a lot of bad movies. And women in prison movies like Caged Heat.
Yeah. But then she was in Repossessed with Leslie Nielsen.
When he was on his roll.
Yeah, so that was that was the comedy exorcism movie.
That movie gave him the money to make Mr. Magoo.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. I gotta say, not a huge fan of the devil possession movies. I just sort of, like, I went and saw Devil Inside, I enjoyed it.
I thought it was fun.
But I don't, like, seek them out. Like, there's a vampire movie, I'm curious about it. There's a zombie movie, I gotta see it.
To me, a possession movie or an exorcism is... what would scare me the most, or give me the biggest chill, is a documentary on it. And I think if any producers are out there watching this, found footage, we've already done the slickly produced, we've done the found footage, now go out and get some actual footage of exorcisms.
Yes. So 2 things. Somebody go and make that movie, damn it.
Right now.
2, if you have devil possession movies that we haven't mentioned, because God knows there's a million of them, go to our Facebook page, MonsterMen13 on Facebook, or go to Hunter Shea's blog and check it out. And you can post comments. We want your...
Yes. If you know anybody that's ever had an exorcism,
yeah,
or anybody you think was possessed by the devil, there's a family story. Let us know.
Email us. What was the other one you mentioned? Burnt Offerings.
Burnt Offerings with Karen Black and Oliver Reed.
Karen Black was a big thread on the Facebook page last time around.
So you'll know, I vacationed up in Maine, and 2 years ago when we were vacationing, she was shooting a movie in the town next to us, and the place she was staying at had a power outage, and she went and stayed where we were staying.
Nice.
So she would sit out there. She went down to swim with my kids.
Power outage, was it a blackout?
She seemed very nice. She seemed like a nice lady. But that's a good movie if you ever want to see a good 70s kind of creepy movie. It's a house. There's a haunting in the house, and Karen Black actually, Oliver Reed gets possessed. In fact, I think they both get possessed, if I remember correctly. Check it out. Creepy movie.
Awesome. All right, well, with that, I think it's time for us to go have a warm bowl of pea soup and call it an episode.
Red Rob.
Your mother sews socks that smell. Watch the Richard Pryor Saturday Night Live. Look that one up on YouTube. Awesome. Okay, until then, the Lord be with you, and keep you, and the power of Christ compel you.